Good afternoon. It's your host, Sharifah Hardy, and I am here with Ask Sharifah. And guess what? I am on location. Some topics, some people, you got to go out in the streets to find out what's going on. So before we get too far into this episode, too far into the show, I'm going to go ahead and ask you to do what I always ask you to do, and that's to go ahead and share this interview, because friends don't let friends miss out on Ask Sharifah. So today our guest is Bishop Eddie Jones. Good afternoon, Bishop. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fine. Actually, it's
Pastor.
Yes.
See, I messed it up. Pastor.
And I'm going to move that needle out of the way so it won't in the video. There we go.
No, it won't. But Pastor, let's talk about some of the things that you are up to in general, but also some of the things that you've been up to recently, because I know you've had your activist hat on and you've been out in the streets.
Yes,
again, which is why we are out in the streets.
Well, here recently, we lost Nipsey Hustle.
Yes.
And, that was really, yesterday, I actually gave a speech there at his store at Marathon Clothing. And it's just been really touching to lose someone who's done such great work in the community, who came from the neighborhood, who wasn't afraid to stay in the neighborhood and fought to do something positive in the neighborhood, create jobs for people, open up a business, and just be very positive. And right before he was assassinated, he was getting ready to make a big gathering with the police department and to bring the gangs together. And speaking of that, I guess they thought that in his death that everything would just go away. But what it did was it just opened up more doors to bring people closer together. So yesterday, people from every walk of life, Black, white, Latino, Asian, all were there at the store yesterday. And the Nation of Islam Minister Tony came in and they did a presentation. I gave a speech on if we love him and we respect him, then we should economically continue to support him. Because I think it's so important that we still go there and buy T-shirts, still go there and buy his clothing line, and keep the money flowing and keep his dream alive.
Wonderful. So we see that LC has joined us, Tammy, Paula. We again, Ask Sharifah is out on location. So I want to make sure if anybody can tell me, just let me know and confirm that you're able to hear us okay? Because since we're out in these streets, there's a lot of noise, a lot of traffic, but are you able to hear us? So somebody give me a yes, somebody give me a hey from the people who are tuning in. And while we wait on that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to continue with our conversation and our topic. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, please feel free to add your questions or comments in the comment section. So you mentioned that you went and you gave a speech yesterday.
Yes.
This is one of the questions that I had.
Okay.
And it's not a judgmental question at all, but it's just one of those questions that came to mind. I see such a great outpouring of love for Nipsey Hussle. May he rest in peace. Myself, I had heard of him. I never heard of any of his music. I hadn't heard anything that he'd done in the community. But I just see this huge outpouring that is different from any other rapper or artist that we may have lost. What do you see as the difference as far as why people are responding the way they're responding to this tragedy?
Well, the thing was to see, Nipsey reached out to a lot of young people. Mm-hmm. And the young people were looking for leadership. And he was being groomed. I believe that God was grooming Nipsey to be like maybe a politician eventually one day. With his at the rate that he was going, he definitely could have been one of our politicians, maybe a mayor or a councilman, maybe even president of the United States. Maybe that's why they became envious and insecure and jealous of him and killed him. And I just found it amazing that it was someone that he knew, someone in his camp. And it took me back to the sermon at church yesterday. The sermon was about Jesus and the 12 disciples. And with the 12 disciples came Judas. And Judas gave Jesus a kiss. And Jesus said, "Go on, Judas. I know what you're going to do. I want to get out of here." And that's the same thing with this guy in Nipsey Hussle's camp. He was like Judas. He came and hugged and shook hands with Nipsey on a regular basis. And I believe that that's why he was able to get so close to be able to do what he did. Because I don't think it had but my whole point here is that this young man was on his way to success. He touched a lot of people's lives. Matter of fact, that same day that he was murdered, a young man had just got out of jail. He had taken him to get a haircut, and he brought him to a store to get him some clothes, and I'm sure he was going to give him a job. And that's what he was doing that particular day when he was murdered.
Okay. Had you worked with him prior to this? Were you familiar with him prior to his
Yes,
passing?
I was. Yes, I've been to a store a couple of times, and he welcomed me with open arms. He said, "Hey, I know who you are. You're the guy on TV. You're the civil rights, you know." I said, "Yeah, my organization, the Los Angeles Civil Rights Association." He said, "I follow you." And I said, "Thank you so much, because I follow you now." You know, I mean, he was a young man. He knew my work. He knew that I worked on the wrongful death of Michael Jackson. He knew that I worked on the wrongful death of Whitney Houston. And he knew the work that I did through the Sheriff's Department, getting Lee Bach out of office, with the 3,000 gang, killing our young men in the community. And he supported my work. And so when I went there to the store, I was actually going there to buy a T-shirt. And I ended up meeting him. And then he said, "Oh, no, Pastor, I'm going to give you these shirts." So he gave me some shirts. He gave me one that said Crenshaw, and of course on the back it says Marathon Clothing. And then he gave me another one, a couple of more shirts. And they're at my house right now. And I'm going to wear them in solidarity of the legacy that he, the seed that he planted. And I want to help keep his dream alive by supporting his business.
Okay, I think that's admirable. One of the questions that I had is, one of my driving passions is always creating generational wealth in the community, because so many people within our community don't have wealth. It hasn't been passed along from generation to generation to generation. But then there are people within the community who feel as if, I don't want to try anymore. I don't want to reach out and try to be better or try to create jobs or create or become an entrepreneur, because when we do have something, it's someone's killed, someone's assassinated. When you look at Black Wall Street in Tulsa was completely burned down. So you have a generation of people now who don't necessarily want to try anymore. With that being said, if I accept that as the truth, do you feel that what happened to Nipsey Hussle is going to affect the hustle or the entrepreneurship in a lot of the teens, the younger generation, the people who might have decided that they wanted their own clothing store, they wanted their own business?
I don't think, I think, and I really believe this in my heart of hearts. We were talking about this morning on my radio show. It's just going to ignite and make the fire even bigger now. I think that we're going to have more young entrepreneurs because they want to. In my speech yesterday, I said we must fight to keep his dream alive. And how do we do that? By coming to a Marathon clothing store and buying his T-shirts and purchasing things and keeping it economically, just keep it growing, and also not only that, we set that example by going out, starting up our own businesses without fear. We shouldn't have fear to open up a business. But you said something very profound and prolific. Generational wealth is so very important, because it's okay to get some money in your hand. You had a few $1,000s, you think you're doing something.
Right.
Don't go out and buy a gold chain. Don't go out and buy big rims for your car. Take your money, your income tax return, or whatever you get. You'd be surprised what you could do with a few $1,000s. Invest your money, put your money, go buy some shares in Amazon. Go buy some shares in Apple and get yourself paid, and then take that money and save it. Every time you make $1, 75 cents it should be spent and 25 cents should be put away. I'm just giving you an idea or example. If you don't save, you're never going to have anything. So you have to save, and you can't be afraid. You cannot be afraid to build generational wealth. You should be happy and exhorted and excited about building generational wealth, because in that way, your children's children's children won't have to be worried about being on the welfare. Amen.
Mm-hmm. Okay, now you mentioned, I definitely agree, but you mentioned that you gave a speech yesterday.
Yes.
At Marathon. I know we can't hear the entire speech, but can you give us a little bit of what you spoke about at Marathon?
Yes, it was so many people out there yesterday, and I opened up with, can I have your undivided attention? And I said, if you love Nipsey Hussle and the work that he did, clap your hands. And they were clapping for a long time. I said, if you love Nipsey Hussle's family and you support them during their grief, clap your hands. And they started clapping their hands. I said, we're gathered here today, and we must remember never to forget that we've lost a true soldier. Not only a true soldier on the battlefield, but also a soldier who helped to create jobs, who took a building and gutted it out and revitalized and rehabilitated and rejuvenated and restored the building and made it into a clothing store, clothes that were made for our community, for all people. Not only did he do that, he gave jobs out. He got young men that were coming out of prison, and he rehabilitated them, because in most prisons there are no rehabilitation. I said, and so we stand here today in solidarity of making sure that we keep his economic dream alive, his dream to assist and help others alive, and his dream to build a better community. I said, and if you like what I said, just clap your hands. I said, when we leave here today, remember, guns are not the priority. There should be no more shooting. If the Crips and the Bloods can get together and march together, then we can all march together, and strength runs in numbers. And my closing remarks are to you. We must remember never to forget. United we stand, and divided we fall.
Wow, I would have been clapping my hands like, yay! That is wonderful. That is wonderful.
Thank you.
Now, you mentioned being able to go and support Marathon. And I love that. I think that's wonderful. You know, I absolutely believe in that. But also, what is the message to other people to be the next Marathon, or to be the next Nipsey Hussle, and to create opportunities for other people?
And that was one of the things that was said yesterday. Minister Tony gave a very, from the Nation of Islam, gave a very profound speech yesterday too. And he said, I'm speaking to all my young people right now. We must galvanize and economically build ourselves so that we don't have to be dependent on anyone else but ourselves. He said, justice is us, and we create our justice. We create our economic dreams. We create our ideas. And what we do is we should take our ideas and put them into perspective of what you wanted to see happen, and then plant that seed and then nurture it. Amen?
Yes.
So that's what we have to do. And we have so many gifted, talented, intelligent, intellectual young men. But then whenever you have a bunch of good, you're always going to have a seed out there that wants to destroy the good. So here's my shout out. I'm shouting out to everybody out there. If you want change, you got to make it. You want to see something different, you got to do it. You can't just talk about it, you got to be about it. So if you plant good seeds, you bear good fruit.
Absolutely.
Amen. So
right.
There we go.
Okay. So I want to start also speaking about one of the things that I saw just reading through the timeline is that there was a march where the gang members from the different gangs, from the Bloods and the Crips, marched.
Yes.
They came together in solidarity for, to show support, to show that they were on one accord.
Yeah, I thought that was very profound and extremely prolific. A few years ago, myself and Dr. Olafari Hutchinson did a big press conference on CNN. We did a moratorium to stop the killing between Bloods and Crips. And believe it or not, there were no murders for that whole 2 weeks. No murders, not even a shooting. But this was bigger than that. Unfortunately, it took his death to get that to happen. But to see the Crips and the Bloods tie their rag together and watch them march through the streets together, that was a tearjerker for me. When I think about all the bloodshed, when I think about all the young people that have died and some babies have died by stray bullets, that really touched my heart. And it's touching my heart right now to think that the leaders of the rolling 60s and the 40s and the 20s and all the other gangs from wherever they are, were able to come together and march together. That says a lot, not only to, you know what, that's something that the government never wants to see happen. The police don't want to see that happen because it just gives them no work to do. The homicide division is upset because they have no homicides. And when we realize our strength in numbers, and when we galvanize together, then that's when we're going to realize our true position here on earth is not to kill and shoot each other down, but to lift each other up and to make that economic dream come true. A lot of people don't understand what the Crips, when they first started years ago, what the Crips really mean. It stood for Community Revolutionaries in Progress. So that means that they were a community group that started out helping them work and protect their community. However, you know, you got people that just made it into a gang, just like they made the Black Panther Party into a gang. The FBI infiltrated the Black Panther Party and the CIA. The FBI has infiltrated our community. The FBI infiltrated Malcolm X when they used other black people to shoot him down during his speech at the Audubon Hall. The government infiltrated Dr. Martin Luther King. The government infiltrated Medgar Evers, and he was killed in front of his home in the driveway in front of his wife and kids. Anytime we have a leader, they either assassinate them or they assassinate their character. Bill Cosby, a multi-billionaire. He's a billionaire. He had the money to buy Channel 4. The moment he wanted to buy Channel 4 outright with cash, next thing you know, his son came up dead. Then he wanted to buy Channel 4, and they couldn't get him for many, many years, so they wait till he got 80-something years old, almost blind, and couldn't see. And then they finally bring him to trial for all these things that they say that he did. Now, this other Caucasian white TV producer, forgot his name, I can't think of it. But
Harvey Weinstein?
Yeah, Weinstein. This guy's walking around free, and he did way more than Bill Cosby did. Okay, so that goes to show you a difference in preferential treatment. And not only with him, but look what they did, how they assassinated Michael Jackson's character. You know, I mean, he was cleared of all charges. I was there, I worked on his case. But still, in death, the man can't rest in peace in death. Now they come up with this video, which has no, I think these guys are wanting to get paid, of course. And thank God for the Jackson State saying that we're going to sue you guys. So they're suing them right now, and I believe that the Jackson State's going to win. But I said all that to say this. Whenever we get a leader, some kind of way, they find a way to assassinate him or assassinate his character.
So what do you, in saying that and believing that, what type of message does that say to the potential leaders that want to step up and want to be leaders?
Don't be afraid. Walk by faith and not by sight. Believe God for the miracle, and know that God and your people and your group will be there to support you 110%. The more we support each other, the more we lift each other up, the more we tell each other, you can do that. That I support you in doing it, the more opportunities that we have and that we create to make our future better for our future generations.
Speaking of, back to Nipsey Hussle for a moment. I know we kind of jumped around there, but one of the other things that I noticed or that I read was that because Nipsey Hussle had hired so many ex-felons who are unable to carry guns, that everybody around him was unarmed, which allowed someone to come into his circle and kill him. There are other people who also believe that, you know, once you get a certain level of fame, once you get a certain level of wealth, then you take that out of the community. You know, they don't want to build up the inner cities. They don't want to build, stay in the community. Crenshaw and Slauson is not somewhere where the majority of these people, will consider having their store. Let me just say this. Are there any aspects that are learning lessons for us? Because, some people say there could have been security guards. He didn't have to have the ex-felons be armed, but he should have had a security detail or something to protect him. Are there any lessons that we can learn from this? Yeah,
there are several lessons. One of the lessons that should be learned out of this, Sharifah, is that you're definitely right. He should have had an armed bodyguard with him at all times. And anyone who comes in the circle, those weapons should be brandished. When I say brandishing a weapon, that means that your hand's on your weapon and it's out of the holster and ready to be used. The young man came up, and I understand that they had some words earlier. I don't know what exactly happened, but I heard they had some words, and he left the meeting. And the moment he left the meeting, the moment I would have saw him coming back, my armed bodyguards would have had their weapons out, and unfortunately drawn on him to prevention. An ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure. And I've worked around executive protection and security for about 30 years. And my people's weapons would have been out and ready to go. And unfortunately, when you love people, you trust them, and you allow them to get close up on you because you know them and you feel like they're not going to do that. But I feel like whoever told him to do that or paid him to do that, because I thought it was very odd that you would kill somebody and then go to a mental hospital to be picked up. Now, that's some serious strategy. Don't you think so?
That was news to me. I hadn't heard anything about the mental facility.
Yeah, Eric Holder, the one that is now being defended by Christopher Darden.
Yes, I saw some backlash about that.
Yeah, I'm like
Christopher Darden to actually take that case.
He tried to put OJ away for life.
Right.
And but thank God for Johnny Cochran. If it does not fit,
you must have quit.
The most famous line in the history of law.
Yes.
I mean, it's bigger than Brown versus Brown.
That's true. That's true. But now he's defending Holder. Like I was blown away by that.
You know what? I got to tell you, I said some things about that, and here's my opinion. Come on, Chris. Out of all the jobs you could take, you're an attorney working on all these cases. Why would you take this case? Why wouldn't you? I don't understand. And I want to hear it from him one day why. I mean, I feel like he took this case because of the high visibility of the media, and it puts him back on the map, But I feel like deep down inside, dude, you're fighting the wrong battle right now. It's just, I don't know. I just don't.
Yes.
I feel like, I don't know if you saw the video of the shooting or not.
No, I did not. I saw one video, and it was apparently from a distance. And then there was another video that a couple of people were telling me that was close up, that you can see everything. I didn't want to see that. I didn't want to see that
I saw the close up video, and I'm getting teared up just thinking about it again. I saw the close up video, and you can see the assailant come into the picture, and he fired a round. You can see him talking first. And then, of course, he shot Nipsey. And then Nipsey went down, and then he shot the guy next to him, and he went down. And then he stopped and turned around and shot somebody else. And then he came back and shot Nipsey again. And then he shot somebody else. And then he came back and shot Nipsey again.
And kicked him.
And then kicked him. And I saw the whole thing, and you could see Nipsey like, no, man, no, and excuse me, sorry. Oh, man. I am so tired of us killing each other. It really bothers me as a civil rights leader. If we read in our history, we've already been hung and castrated and drugged and demeaned and everything else. But this curse from the Willie Lynch law, I don't know if you've ever written
I've heard of it, yes.
Well, I read it I had the whole topic on my show.
Okay. So briefly.
Well, briefly, the Willie Lynch law is just saying house against the field, light against the dark, curly hair against the straight hair, brown eyes against the green eyes. It teaches us against one another. And this is a spell that needs to be broken. And I believe, unfortunately, through the death of Nipsey Hussle, that this spell has been put to sleep. And the moment you saw the Crips and the Bloods marching together and all the gang members, that's when you knew that spell was broken, because they don't want that to happen. Yeah.
Okay. So, and I don't mean to be get my position correct. I'm back, you guys. Thank you everybody who's tuning in. Linda's joined us, Elizabeth, Doug, William. So many people have come in. Again, I am here with Pastor Eddie Jones, and we are just discussing what's going on in the community. Being a civil rights activist, we're just talking a little bit about the word on the street. So I'm here on location. Yes, so if you have questions or comments, thank you for the hearts. Thank you for the support. I just saw those. Yeah. I've been focusing so much on the conversation that I didn't have a chance or opportunity to really chat with anyone. But since we are live, if you have any questions, if you have any comments, please feel free to go ahead and ask those. Thank you, Tammy, for your support. She says amen. So she's supporting us and rooting for us.
Hey, Tammy, how you doing?
Yes, so many people.
And Linda and Frederick and Doug and hey, everybody. Elizabeth. How you guys doing?
It's a serious topic, definitely.
Yes, it is a very serious topic.
But it's something that I want to bring everyone in on and for everyone to be a part of. Pamela just joined us.
Hi,
Thank
Pamela.
you for coming in. So I want to go back to what we were discussing just a couple of seconds ago about the uniting, with the Bloods, the Crips uniting.
Yes.
I'm trying to phrase the question without being, let me phrase it in the way that I want to phrase it.
Okay.
It's been my experience, I'm grown now, I'm 43, I'm a grown woman now. So I've seen certain things. Yes. I lived on 74th in Vermont during the LA riots.
Oh,
right.
My God.
So
you were right there by, what's his name?
Normandy, Florence and Normandy.
Yeah, Florence and Normandy,
right.
You were right there.
Yes, and I remember that so profoundly.
Yes,
I was right there. And then the next day, well, actually during the riots, my parents, I was a teenager. My parents wouldn't let us out the house. We weren't allowed to go anywhere.
They were so smart.
Yes, we didn't go riot. We didn't go do anything like that. We had to stay in the
TVs?
house. Nothing. I didn't get anything. I might have, but
not even a Mr. Goodbar.
Not nothing.
Oh my God.
They didn't allow us to go anywhere. We were in the house. But what changed was the very next day after the LA riots, it's sad, but it's to a certain extent a joke, because I tell people the way we gave directions changed.
Yes.
Because we would say, you remember where that liquor store used to be?
Yes.
Okay, make a left right there.
Right there,
and then go down to where that beauty salon was.
Yes.
You make a right there,
yes.
because everything in our community was burned down.
Yes, and that
was 1992.
Yes, sir.
And it's 2019, and that area has not been rebuilt. Okay, now, since then, you've had people, they try to build up that community, raise millions of dollars to rebuild that community. There's questions as to where the millions of dollars went, because that community has never been rebuilt. So now, being 2019, we have, I've seen other tragedies where you're like, okay, now we need to make a difference. Now we want to make a change. Now we have the Bloods and the Crips that have said, okay, we're going to work together. We're going to unite. But what is the action item that we're giving to them to say, this is what we want to do now. This is what we want you to do now. Because it seems to me at times, and I definitely don't want to be a negative Nancy, but it can be in the heat of the moment, we want to make that change and we're passionate about it. But what do we do? What are the steps we can take?
Okay, so I'm going to use this word, solution.
Yes.
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 Here is the solution. Those head of the gang members that came out there that spoke and made a commitment are now putting their soldiers into action to bring forth their monies to help rebuild in our community. We're not waiting on the councilman anymore. We're not waiting on Mayor Garcetti anymore. We're not waiting on the governor. We're going to do what we need to do to affect our community and make sure that we're rebuilding, if not buildings, at least relationships, which will lead to building buildings. Amen. But first we have to heal ourselves from the many, many years of hatred and animosity towards one another based on what the government has planted in our communities. Mm-hmm. Just like the government planted rock cocaine in our community. The government planted, what is this drug now called? Forgot the name of it, but it's some sort of speed, crank or something like that.
Meth? Okay.
Crystal meth, that's what it is, crystal meth. A lot of these things have been brought to keep us from being focused. And so now that we are focused and we're starting to focus ourselves, we're getting like a fine pair of good binoculars. We're just trying to clear the picture up real good so we can see it nice and clear. That, as I stated earlier, united we stand and divided we fall. But the revolution is not being televised. If you haven't heard that song by Gil Scott-Heron, it's called The Revolution Will Not Be Televised. Mm-hmm. Well, it's not being televised because the revolution is now alive. And it is taking its position now. And now these young people who didn't care at first, now I see a change in their attitudes, their personalities, and a new drive, a new way of understanding what this really means to our young people. A lot of them had that nonchalant attitude and didn't have that respect. You know, like a lot of our young people didn't respect their elders. All day yesterday, I heard, excuse me, sir, beg your pardon, sir. You know, and a lot of our young people have lost that. But sometimes it takes a tragedy, unfortunately, to reestablish, revitalize, rehabilitate, rebuild, and restore.
Now, we spoke about the Bloods, we spoke about the Crips, we spoke about the gang members uniting. What about just everyday citizens, everyday people who say, you know what, I want to make a difference, I want to help, I want to be a part of the change? What are some action items and things that people can do to be a part of the solution?
Well, here's some action items. First of all, don't wait on the church to go take care of anybody. You know, you can go in the house and make some sandwiches yourself. I don't care if it's bologna and bread, and go down there and feed the homeless. Go down and give them a pair of socks. If you see a young man, I've never seen so many, and that's another epidemic that's facing us right now. Not just, but homelessness is out of control in Los Angeles, California, if not the United States of America. And a lot of the young people that I've seen homeless now, they're under 18 years old. Some are under 25 years old, pushing a basket, living in an alley. So take the initiative. If you have some old clothes in your closet that you don't want, if you have some old socks or whatever, you know, not that they have holes in them, but they might be, you know, you just bought some new stuff. And somebody saying something there?
We're following you.
Okay.
Tammy says serious but necessary. So she's following along. Tracy just joined us.
Yes, hi, hi Tracy, hi. Yes, it is necessary and it is serious. You know, you can help a person with a bologna sandwich. You can help a person, you don't have to give them money. You could fix them a meal and take them a meal. You could give them some socks or a blanket or a pillow. You know, we can do these things in our own community ourselves. And then when you see a young person walking with their pants sagging, don't be afraid to approach them and ask them how they're doing. You don't know what they're going through. Until we make an initial, initial stop and say, hi, how you doing? How you feeling today? And, you know, I usually make them laugh because, you know, they say, hey, young man, how are you? And they go, oh, well, you know, I'm going. And then I say, well, it's a great day at Mr. Robinson's neighborhood, right? And then they laugh because, you know, they remember Mr. Robinson's neighborhood. I said, but it's our neighborhood, isn't it? And they go, yeah. I said, well, what's going on? And he goes, oh, so-and-so. I said, tell me about it. Sometimes we have to have an ear for our young people. We need to hear what their request is. Sometimes it's not about a job. Sometimes they might have came from a foster care home. Sometimes they might be lacking love. And that's why they never told anybody they love them, because they don't know how to tell somebody they love them because they never had the love that they're looking for. So there's a lot of areas in our community that we need to continue to reestablish and redevelop.
Okay, I mean, I agree with you on that. I mean, but I'm agree to a certain extent. I'm gonna play devil's advocate. You don't even like that term. I'm gonna play an advocate, right? And the reason I say that,
negative Nancy.
I'm gonna play negative Nancy. Okay. I like being negative Nancy at times.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because I've been homeless twice. Okay.
Really?
Yes. And where I had to go sleep in motels because I didn't have anywhere to stay after being laid off 7 times. And so the last time I was homeless, I literally lost everything. I had all my clothes, everything that I owned in my car, and the car got repossessed. And they would not allow me to come get my belongings out of the car. They said I could come in about a week. And by that time, I figured I had to go and get new clothes. So I just keep those clothes. So even you see my flip-flops, the people can't see them, but only thing I had was my flip-flops.
Those are really nice.
They are. You should see them. I got my flip-flops on.
Yeah.
But I had my flip-flops on, and all my shoes were in my car. And so, yes. And so that's why I started the habit of wearing flip-flops all the time. And I would make a joke of it. I would say, you know what? You don't know about that. In Europe, they wear flip-flops. You're American. You don't know about flip-flops. Yeah. But the reason I did that was because that's all I had to my name was the flip-flops that I had. Everything else was gone. I had my flip-flops and the clothes that were on my back. Okay. So I hear you when you say, let's go give them a sandwich, or let's go give, you know, a blanket or whatever it is, because or I get that. But my question is, create a living wage. You know, how do we create companies and jobs? Because some of these young people, their biggest struggle is that they can go get a job, but that retail job or that low-paying job is not going to allow them to afford to be able to pay for rent or pay for a mortgage or pay for homes or pay, especially in California.
Yeah,
so to me, those are the main steps, the main focus.
I've never seen, Sharifah, so many people going back home to their parents and grandparents.
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with that. If it's what you need to do. And back in the day, a long time ago, that's what families did.
Mm-hmm.
They galvanized together. They stayed up under the same roof until they can get on their feet.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to get back to the basics. We need to be able to live with our family members and not judge them and not be arguing with them and all that. I see family members from certain walks of life, they get together and they all live in one house. They all drive one car and they all are happy with it. Mm-hmm. Amen. And another thing too, we need to, one of the biggest problems that has been a taboo topic for our community is mental illness. Mm-hmm. Bipolar syndrome, paranoid schizophrenia. And a lot of the homeless people, unfortunately, are dealing with these. Thank you for the likes, whoever that is out there sending those likes. Thank you. Thank you very much. We care about that.
We're back to the mental illness. You didn't change subjects on us.
No, but mental illness has a lot to do with the homeless problem. Mm-hmm. It really does. And I go out, I'm out there dealing with the homeless on a regular basis. Mm-hmm. And it's a passion for my heart. I have a passion to be out there. And we have had some successful homeless people. We have helped some people get jobs. Mm-hmm. I know a young lady that was homeless, and I'm not going to say her name, but I'm going to say now she works for the county. Mm-hmm. And she has a good job, and she has her own home now. Mm-hmm. And I saw her one day, and she was hungry. I took her a hamburger one day and some fries and a drink. And then I said, is there any way I could help you? She said, if I had a job. Mm-hmm. And when she said that, I said, wow. Now there's a brother named Kevin Ross. Hey, Kevin Ross, I'm shouting you out, man. And he has a thing on Facebook. His name is Kevin Ross. And he's always doing, he always posts everything to help other people, like homeless, whatever the problem is. And I've worked with him on a few projects. And it's really good that there are people out there who go out in the streets and help people who are homeless. I know we can't always find the right organizations when we're going through, but with patience and understanding, we get to that point to where we are able to help and touch a lot of people's lives. And that's important to me. And that's what my organization, the Los Angeles Civil Rights Association, where I also chair with an organization called Our Commitment, where I also chair with another organization called No More Violence. I work with all three of these organizations, and they all have something to do with community work, because that's my passion, and that's my living. That's what I'm here for, and I believe that God gave me that assignment. And until God calls me home, I promise that's what I'm going to do, give back to the community and to the people. Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about those organizations and specifically and briefly what they do? Well, Our Commitment is committed to the work that we're talking about right now, helping the homeless, giving back to the community, creating jobs. No More Violence, they're based out of Houston, Texas. And No More Violence, and I'm over the LA chapter, and what No More Violence does is we go wherever there's been a loss of life, and we reach out to the parents, and we see them through. I'll give you an example. There was a young man about 8 years old, and being that he's a minor, I don't want to say his name, but he was beat to death by his stepfather. Oh, wow. That's horrible. So we reached out to the parents, and the mother was not able to do the funeral. We gave her the money to have the funeral, and we raised the money. There was a mother who had 2 twin babies who lost the twins for whatever reason. We gave her a car wash, and we raised the money, and we helped her bury her twins. These are the things that Our Commitment and No More Violence, they do. This is what we do, and this is what. And then not only that, we help people get jobs. If I can't do it, then I reach out to my other friends like Kevin Ross and other people who do the same things. There's an organization of women who give back to the community, and I'm sorry, I see the place on my Tracy Walker. Mental illnesses are you can't read it like that, Pastor. You got to read it so the people hear it. So mental illness is our number one priority.
I wish our local churches would help more. We have almost 2 per block in every major city. That was
Yes, Tracy, you are so right, Tracy. And that's why my church is beyond the walls. We don't just do work in the church. I like to go out in the community, Tracy. That's what we do. But I am a member. I got to tell you what, I'm a pastor on staff at Hill City Church, Pastor Dietrich Haddon. And we have a thing coming up on April the 27th, and we're going to be out beyond the walls, reaching out to the community. We're going to be more, you're going to see us marching the streets, because we're not playing with this thing. We got to strike while the iron is hot, and we have to do what we got to do to win back our souls. And excuse me, and like Tracy said, all these churches with all this money. So I'm challenging all the AME churches. I'm challenging all the Church of God in Christ. I love you, Bishop Blake. I love you. I love you. I love you, Bishop Noel Jones. I love you. I love you, Pastor Ron Gibson. But come on, you guys, help us out here to touch people. And I know you guys do great work. They do great work. But there's greater work to be done. And it just doesn't stop.
Yes. So you talked about your organizations. If you are just now tuning in, we're getting ready to wrap up this show. I have the honor and the privilege to be out here on location in the streets speaking with Pastor Eddie Jones. We've discussed Nipsey Hussle, the tragedy, the loss of life with Nipsey Hussle, our communities, jobs, homelessness. We covered so much in this last hour or last 40 minutes. So again, I ask you to go ahead and share this interview, because friends don't let friends miss out on Ask Sharifah. So we're coming down to the last few minutes of the show. What I like to do at the end of every show is just allow my guests the opportunity to just speak to the viewers, speak to people watching this in the archive, and let them know what you want them to get out of your interview.
Okay, well, everybody out there, here's the deal. Here's the deal. I don't care what it is that goes on. Love is the healer. Love is the greatest healer. Now, I see Tracy said, awesome. Okay, Tracy Walker, I'm sending you some love right now. You're a wonderful person. And everybody that's listening to the show right now, you're phenomenal and wonderful. But the only limit in life is the one we put on ourselves, so we should let there be no limits. And whatever you do out there, and these are my closing remarks, do not let anything or anybody steal your joy. And remember, I was going to tell you, love is a healer. If there's anyone that you haven't reached out to lately that maybe you had a bad vibe with, or you had some bad words with, it could be a sister or a brother or a cousin or uncle or aunt. It could be a best friend that was a best friend, it's not a best friend anymore. Give them some love. Heal them with some love, because love is a healer. And this is what our community needs, lots and lots and lots of love. We don't need to batter each other with words. We don't need to put each other down. We need to be forgiving, but at the same time, we need to be firm in sharing love, not hate. So that's my message in my closing remarks, that love is a healer no matter what it is. If you go into a hospital and there's 2 newborn babies, and one of them's being seen by the mother every day and being fed milk and rubbing the baby and hugging the baby, that baby's going to grow faster than the baby that's not getting the hugs. So I'm just saying, all of us need love. Love is the key. Love is the medicine, and love is the healer. Matter of fact, here's some love for Sharifah.
Thank you. Thank you for being a guest today. Thank you for being on the show. I definitely appreciate it. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to get out the house, to get out of my little studio, and to come and sit down and talk with you in person, face to face. This is not something I normally do. So this was different for me. This was interesting to me. And it feels real good.
And this is a blessing. Here's the blessing right here. Remember this, y'all. Here's the blessing. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5 and 6. Lean not on your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge God, and He will direct your path. I'm not kidding. I dare you to triumph. I dare you to remember Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5 and 6. Let that be your scripture for the rest of the week, okay? And I already said, don't let nothing and nobody steal your joy. And I want you to remember that the best is yet to come. The best is yet to come. Thank you, Lord. I see those happy faces. Cool.
That's Francis. Francis joined us. I don't know when she popped in here, but thank you for your support,
Francis. You know what, you guys, I don't want to leave now. I mean, you guys are starting to come in, and this is so wonderful. I love it. And hey, you guys, I got Sharifah on location today.
Yes.
She's at Bixby Joe's in what is called the Beverly Hills of Long Beach, which is Bixby Knolls.
Yes.
And thanks for the hearts, you guys. Thanks for the hearts and the likes and the thumbs up and all that great stuff. And before we go, Tracy, did you have anything else you wanted to say, or any more questions, or any more statements you wanted to make, or anybody else?
Yes, because we are live right here in Bixby Knolls.
Yes, we are.
At Bixby Joe's.
Yes.
We're just kind of hanging out here. So we got some great comments from Tracy. Thank you for his support.
Thank you, Tracy.
Tracy is wonderful.
Oh, Tracy, his support. Thank you, Tracy, for your support, brother.
Yeah.
Thank you.
He's an activist as well. He's always out.
Really?
He's a photographer, videographer. So he's always out in the community. A lot of the things in the community.
I probably know him.
Yeah, you probably do.
I probably know him. Oh, yes, I'll come back. Yes, I will be glad to come back. I'd be honored to come back. Matter of fact, Sharifah was on my radio show. And is it okay if I give me information on my show?
Absolutely.
Okay, my radio show comes on every Monday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's called the Eddie Jones Radio Talk Show. It's on Blog Talk Radio. All the shows are archived. If you go to blogtalkradio.com, blogtalkradio.com, and on the search, you type in Eddie Jones Jr. /_productions, and you can listen to the show anytime. Today on our show, we had Leola Brown, the sister of Bobby Brown. We also had Dr. Polly, and Dr. Polly was actually the doctor who worked with Bobby Christina Brown before she passed away. And then we had Snoop Dogg's producer, James Woodard, on our show today. And of course, we had an actor, a professional actor, Justin Key, on our show today, who does movies and production. So we had a good show today. And Sharifah came on my show, and everybody loved her. I mean, she came on with a wealth of information, very informative, very intellectual, and very intelligent.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
I appreciate
it's just the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help me God.
Yes.
All right.
But thank you all for tuning in. We definitely appreciate your support. There's Diana, who just joined us. Diana's wonderful as well. So everyone, I really appreciate your support. But I especially have to thank our sponsor, because this show is sponsored by fireballapproves.com. So before you rent any property, whether it's a house, whether it's an apartment, any rental property, you definitely want to have it checked out by Fireball Approves. Visit the website at fireballapproves.com if you're interested in being a guest, or for sponsorship opportunities, or to just simply watch more of my interviews. Visit the website at AskSharifah.com. Until then, everyone have a blessed day.
Peace, you guys.